The Ever Given is free and floating again. In just the last hour or so, tugboats dislodged the bow of one of the largest ships to ever sail the seas from the muddy clay on the banks of the Suez Canal. Well, earlier, workers managed to dislodge the stern. The ship had been stuck rock solid in the mud for nearly a week. Freeing up the canal for shipping traffic cannot come soon enough. Businesses around the world were already feeling the pinch from the pandemic. A shipping slowdown was the last thing that they needed. Well, more than 350 vessels have been waiting to use the canal. Others are taking the long way around Africa. While the canal may be cleared soon, it could be months to repair the damage to the global supply chain. Well, CNN's Ben Wiedemann is in Cairo following the breaking news for us, and John Defterios here in Abu Dhabi working the global business angles on this. Let's start with you, Ben. What do we know at this point? This is a giant container ship. What's it up to and where's it headed now?
Well, it was just over an hour ago that it appeared that the effort that has been going on around the clock since last Tuesday finally succeeded in freeing the entire ship, bringing it back into the middle of that stretch of the Suez Canal, and it is now on its way north to the Great Bitter Lake, where we heard from Osama Rabia, who's the chairman of the Suez Canal Authority. It would go to be checked to make sure that the ship is still seaworthy after this traumatic experience. But really, starting from the early hours of today, Monday, it was a roller coaster of hopes and expectations. Just before sunrise, the news came out that the dredging operation, along with tugboats, was able to free the stern of the ship and largely move it out of sort of its blocking position in the canal. But there were points during the day when it appeared strong winds pushed it back, blocking the canal again. But now, fortunately, the canal is open. According to the chairman of the Suez Canal Authority, navigation has resumed in the canal, and there have been celebrations. The ships in the canal blowing their horns. I'd like to say the horns behind me in Cairo are blowing in celebration as well, but I think they're just blowing their horns. But I imagine most Egyptians at this moment are saying good riddance to the Ever Given.
Absolutely. Ben is in Cairo. JD, you've been looking at these, the global business implications of what has been this skyscraper-sized ship, which is now wrenched away from the canal's bank. It is being towed away, as Ben suggested. Just what sort of disruption has this caused?
Well, I tell you, this is a parking lot of vessels still, Becky. So we have to think about try to unwind this backlog that we have right now. So we peaked at almost 370 ships, and the volume there that we have in the canal on a normal day is about 50. Now, this is going to be interesting to see how much they can accelerate it. The Egyptian government said under President al-Sisi, we're going to accelerate it, work 24 hours a day. Maximum capacity, according to Lloyd's list, is 80 to 90 vessels a day. But you have to figure the time to rev up, get the ships into position, make sure that the safety precautions are taken here. So best case scenario, Lloyd's list says 5 to 6 days to clear the backlog of ships that have been waiting there already. The CEO of Maersk was not so confident. He was saying 6 days or more, and they're the largest shipping company in the world. Now let's break down what do we have here. We have at least 10 vessels that have livestock. We heard a lot about the cattle on these ships early on. We haven't had an update, so we're eager to hear that, of course. About 10% of those ships that I'm talking about, maybe 370 overall, 10% carrying oil and gas, petrochemicals. Very critical supplies need to go into Lebanon and Syria, right? Because they're short of fuel. Their economies are in crisis right now. And to your point, on the supply chain, we have auto parts, textiles, foodstuff, all locked up at this stage. Normally, we have about $10 billion a day in terms of the value of the goods passing through the canal, $400 million an hour. That has stalled. And in fact, we've had dozens of ships that said, we're going to go to the Cape of Good Hope, to the southern tip of Africa, into Europe and the United States, because they lost hope and patience right now. So there's a confidence issue, of course, for the Suez Canal before and now again after this. Can you deliver on all the demand on this key artery going forward is a crucial question that we have today. But think about the option here, Becky. If you didn't unlock it and get it moving, we're going to have a crane try to unload those containers and put them in either another ship or on the side. It would have taken days, if not weeks, to do it. So the global community tonight saying, jeez, what a relief. That's the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, there are those who say this has been the biggest crisis in the canal since the 1956 war, alluding, of course, to the Suez Crisis, as it is known. The Egyptians will not want another crisis in this artery of life anytime soon, will they?
No, of course not. And we did see, for instance, between 2014 2015, Egypt, at the inspiration of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, spent $8 billion to create an extra lane to the Suez Canal to facilitate further passage of ships, but they didn't do it in that particular area. And of course, the Egyptian government promised Egyptians that there would be real dividends in terms of economic returns from that massive project, and they haven't really materialized. And of course, one of the long-term worries regarding the Suez Canal is that other options are coming up. The Chinese Belt and Road projects, the reports of pipelines from the Gulf to Israel, talk about opening up Arctic routes between Asia and Europe. And so the Suez Canal, part of the reason why it was expanded was in anticipation of these sort of projects. But yes, the Suez Canal opened in 1869 with a lot of promise, but it was closed for 8 months between 1956 and 57. After the 56 war, it was closed from 1967 to 1975 because of other hostilities between Israel and its Arab neighbors. So it's had a rocky history, and it hasn't ever really lived up to the promise that Ferdinand de Lesseps, the man who came up with the idea of the Suez Canal, had dreamed of. It never was really realized. And certainly this incident of the past week underscores the vulnerabilities of the Suez Canal. Having said that, we've also seen an incredible effort by the Egyptians and their partners, the Dutch and the Japanese and others, to finally get this canal up and running again. Becky?
Yeah, absolutely. A proper international effort. Ben, thank you for that. John Defteris in Abu Dhabi, always a pleasure. Thank you.